Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to try this again. I did it a few minutes ago and you couldn't hear me. So hopefully you can hear me this time. So I have a little rehearsal. So maybe now I'll be a little bit more succinct. Don't count on it. Anyway, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Those of you who saw today earlier, I did a video live from the river, and I was led to kind of challenge myself and my audience into determining or identifying what gives us fear, what is fearful to us. And so I challenge you, if you haven't watched that video, to go and watch it, and then we'll do follow-up videos with that at some point. But this video I talked about, I would be going over some big topics for spirituality, and so the big picture of spirituality. So before I get started on that, I just want to do a disclaimer saying that I believe that truth is your truth at a particular time or moment, and it changes as you grow and as you move and as your perception changes. And it's never wrong. It's never incorrect. It's just your perception or your truth at that time. So if you think about, if you're in a building and you're on the ground floor and you're looking out the window, maybe you see the pool and some palm trees, and it's very pretty and lush, and you're like, oh, this is a beautiful, beautiful picture. I love it. It's great. And that's your perception at that time. That's your truth, is what you see. Let's say you go up to the top floor and you look out, and now you can still see the pool down below, and you see the palm trees, and it's still lush and beautiful, but now you can see the ocean out beyond that, and you can see a beautiful sunset or sunrise. So your perception has changed. It's still beautiful. It's just different now. It's a different perception. And then considering maybe you went on the 5th floor and you looked out a window and now you could see the parking garage. Well, that's a very different perception of the scenery that you get during this visit. So it's not that any of those are wrong. They're just the perception at that time. So what I'm going to share with you is my perception of truth at this time, according to what I know and what I understand and what I can communicate. And I'm using most information that I get from the Law of One, which is a channeled resource done on the 1980s through a being called Ra. And he gives some explanation as to the bigger picture with the universe and kind of try to give us some information so we can understand our reality in a different light. I realize this is not the only source. This is just the source that I have looked into. So if you have another source you like or another source you suggest, please let me know in the comments below, because I would love any more information. I think there's one called, I need to look it up, the Course in Miracles. I need to look that up. I don't know what that is, but I keep hearing good things about that. So I might look that up. But this is based mostly on the raw materials, and I'll do a link to that. And then there's a guy who I've been watching, and he does some really good videos. But if it's your first time hearing it, it might be a little bit much. So this is just going to be the watered down, simple version. With that being said, I'm not going to use the right vocabulary that Ra uses. I'm not going to use the same terms, because then it gets really confusing, because he uses words in a different way than we do and has a different meaning, and then he uses words that we don't use. So I'm just going to kind of use simple terms so we can kind of understand the big picture. Okay, so again, the big picture is that you are awesome, you are amazing, you are unique, and you're wonderful, and you are eternal, and you're infinite, and you're powerful, and you are God. God is you. Everything is you. Everything is, you are everything. So it's all one. Hence the law of one. We are all one. Everything impacts us. It influences everything. And with that thinking, source or God, I'm not going to probably usually say God. I don't believe in God like how we were taught to believe, or what I was taught to believe as a guy upstairs, determine if you're going to go to heaven or hell. I don't believe in that. I believe in source, or an infinite being that is creating all that we see and know, and we're actually helping them do that because we are part of source. Source is consciousness. Source is love. Source is expanding all the time. So we are part of that. And the reason we are here is to experience, to have experiences, to do things, to learn things, to try things. And with that being said, sorry, my dogs. So another concept I want to clear real quick is that I also believe that we reincarnate. You reincarnate from one life to another life. And depending on where you are, the rules or the guidelines for that particular place might be one way. And in the videos, Raw explains how they are here, and we'll go into a little bit of that, but we'll do that in a different video. But depending on the rules for that area, you would stay at a certain level until you got to a certain point. And then like at a certain time, there's like a certain time frame that this has to happen by. And if it doesn't, if you're ready, you move on to the next level. If not, you stay in the level you're at. So kind of like school, but a little bit harsher conditions, because some of the time frames are for thousands and thousands of years. So you reincarnate. So those are kind of the big concepts as far as that goes. So you reincarnate, you come into different experiences, and those get translated out and known to all of consciousness, which is source, which is God, which is everyone, which is you. And that is how it expands and grows and creates. Okay, so now let me explain a little bit about densities. Ra talks about different densities, and densities are in essence kind of like the different layers, like what came first. So if I remember right, the first, hold on, let me back up just a second. Densities are the different levels we're in. So right now we're in third density, and I'll come back to that in just a minute. But before that, when Source he created galaxies, I think was first, and then the solar systems, and then the stars and the planets. And within each one of those galaxies, solar systems, stars, planets, there are rules that govern that particular system. And it's kind of like the playbook or the instructions for that entity. So another important concept is that everything is consciousness. The earth, planet, everything is consciousness. Everything has consciousness. Everything is evolving. Everything is learning. Everything is moving forward to a certain point. So Earth or Gaia has been in third dimension reality, or 3D, which is one of the levels, one of the densities. And she just moved into 4D, supposedly back in 2012. And so she's in 4D. And as humans, we are desperately trying to catch up to be able to stay in 4D with Gaia. She is evolving very quickly, and I don't understand it exactly, but we are still stuck in our 3D thinking, our 3D timeline, our 3D misunderstanding, basically. So let me back up just a little bit more. So there's different densities, and in this reality, this galaxy, this Earth, I'm not sure. The first density would be like rocks and water and dirt. So things that aren't aware. They're not aware that they are conscious. Okay. So in your beginning of your journey, your soul, or what do you want to call it, your being incarnated as a rock for thousands of millions of years. And then when it was time to upgrade or grade up, if you were ready, you went to second density. And second density is plants and animals. And they are aware. They know they're alive. They're striving. They're fighting for their lives. They're eating. They're dying. So they are aware on some level that they are conscious. Pets are considered to be the higher end of second density. They are pretty much ready to go to third density because they are more self-aware than most wild animals or plants. So then when you come to third density, that's where we have been, is in third density as human beings. And the whole point of third density, because in first density, you didn't know that you're conscious. Second density, you became a little conscious. And then third density, you know you're conscious, and you are striving to determine which polarity you're going to follow. So that could be a negative polarity or a positive polarity. And of course, in 3D, we define that as good and bad, but that's not actually the big picture. That has nothing to do with being good or bad. It just is different experiences. So the whole point of 3D, where we are, is we come back in this density, in this earth, to experience different things at the level we're at, and we've forgotten. That's the other problem with this density with 3D. You don't remember. That's one of the rules. 3D, you come in, you don't remember. You don't remember you're a higher being. You don't remember your other lives. You don't remember all your powers. You don't remember all your gifts. You come in a clean slate, unless your higher self, and your higher self is just basically you in the future. And again, time gets really confusing because here in 3D is the only time that time is relevant, because we've made it up and it's not even what we think, or not existent, or I'm not sure, but it's only relevant right now to us, we think. So when our higher selves determined, okay, what are we, kind of plan this trip to Earth, to 3D land, when they determined what you were going to do, you learned about, it was determined, like, if you're going to have this issue or that issue, or what lesson did you want to learn this time? Did you want to experience being murdered? And I think I talked about that in a different video. There's different experiences you're going to experience. And in the concept of source or God, it's not good or bad. It's not good or evil. It's an experience. You're doing an experience. And so you might come to Earth and with the plan of being murdered at some point. However, you do have free choice still, free will, and you could mess it all up. If your plan was going to get murdered and then you keep making decisions that make it so you don't get murdered, then you didn't learn that life lesson, and you'll probably come back eventually to try and learn that one. So kind of think of it like a fantasy island kind of thing. You're choosing what you're going to do when you come on and incarnate this lifetime. And sometimes you might remember some of your abilities. You might, if you've mastered, playing the piano in a previous life, you might come back this lifetime and remember that. Your higher self might have let you remember that, or you just might remember it just subconsciously. So the whole point is to experience different things, and that is the assignment we've been given by Source or by God as parts of Him. And consciousness as a whole is to experience different things and learn different things and just evolve with different things. So we have thousands of years that we've been on Earth, that we've been doing this. We've come back and back and back and do different things and learn different things as a human entity. And now that the Earth has gone to 4D, we need to go to 4D too, or you will not be coming back onto this particular planet. What that means, I'm not sure. I equate it to revelations in the Bible. It could be instant like that. It could be a gradual thing. I don't know. Right now, 4D is supposedly where the Earth is at. And as beings, we are transitioning to being a 4D light being. And that is the urgency of these videos, is to get you to think beyond the matrix, beyond what we've been taught, beyond what you think is reality, because it's not. And if that resonates at all with you, if you think something's not quite right, then you're going to want to pay attention to these videos, because you're right where I was a year ago. I've always known something wasn't quite right. Different. I don't even know why. So let's see. So you go through all these different lessons and journeys. And right now in this current incarnation, or the rules of this thing are the hero's journey. So you go through and you basically learn. Any TV show or movie you watch, it's the same story, struggling, triumph, up and down, and ending on a good note. So that's kind of the journey we go through, and that's programmed in, and that's why it's all the same. So that gets confusing, but the basic gist is that we are all eternal. We are all connected. We are all source. We are all God. We are learning and sharing experiences in this particular dimension, or 3D reality. We do not remember our previous lives. In fourth dimension and up, I've been told, or it seems like we do remember our previous lives and our gifts, and we will be evolving very, very quickly. And the idea is to give love and light freely, and to love unconditionally. I'm thinking that's not the right word. service to others. So in this lifetime, you're either determining if you're going to do service to self or service to others, and that goes back to the positive and negative polarity. And most people watching this, I'm sure you're service to others. You're probably very positive. You're probably a light worker. You're intuitive. You're empathic. You maybe have some ability to channel or see or talk to spirits or talk to guides. And that's kind of coming, your 4Ds coming into place, 4 or 5D, wherever you're at. And so that's why you're being watching this video, because you already are kind of aware. Sorry, I feel like I hear something over there. And we have a mouse in our house, so I'm afraid he's gonna like come running across my desk. We haven't killed him yet. Not that I want to kill him, but anyway, I just don't know if he's over there. I don't see him. Anyway, so that's just an overview and something for you to think about and ponder. The world is not what, I shouldn't say the world. We are not what we think or what we've been told. And if you look at different organized religions, they have explained a lot of this to some extent, and there's a continuing theme in all of them. However, the powers that be who do not want us to ascend and go on have corrupted some of those messages and limited our information or knowledge on it. And so that's what we need to overcome. We need to get you to think beyond what we've been told and taught, get you to think for yourself, get you to be sovereign, get you to understand that the restrictions that we believe we have on our lives or in our reality aren't there at all. We've made them up ourselves. And the more we perpetuate and reinforce them, the harder it is to break them. And that is going back to the Matrix and just tons of more information on that. But just know that you are on the right path if you're watching this video, and we will learn together. So if you have any comments or questions, please put them below. If you have another source other than Ra, the Law of One, which is mostly what I'm going to focus on, please indicate that for me as well. And in the next video, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to cover, but we'll go a little bit deeper in. But those are the big basic concepts. So I guess I'll stop right there. I do want to follow up on the other video where we're going to talk about our fears, because those are the things that are holding us back, those fears. So if you haven't thought of that, check out my other video that asks, what you're afraid of, and consider that. And in my next video, we will probably talk about that as far as for the fears. But the next Raw video, we will go a little bit deeper into the idea of the Law of One. Again, sorry about my dogs. Okay, have a great evening, day, or whenever you happen to watch this. And I'm sending you much love and light.